Okay. There are people who feel that when I'm gone, they won't be able to hear the things that I believe and the things that I think about the world, the wisdom that they feel has enriched their lives or woken them up or made them think. And I want to set out some of those things because we are all organic and we all have to eventually leave the body, and that's going to happen to me. And it's going to happen to all of us. It's just going to happen to me earlier. And that wisdom is something that I believe I've invested in everybody. And if you resonate with it, it's because something in you is calling to that and saying, that makes sense. That's the kind of world that I would like to live in. And we have a whole lot of baggage and beliefs and um, investment in this and that and the other that makes us get really rigid or think mine, mine, me. It's all about my group. It's all about me, and it's really um, to create the kind of world that makes you buzz, that makes you love, that makes you live. To to have a perspective on the world that is of the kind that when you're about to go or you got to go, like with cancer, um, you have no regrets because you sit well with that in your own world and you sit well with the world. So my philosophies and the things that I've invested in the world and that you can carry with you if you so choose to get close to the spirit of me and walk alongside of that is I have always, I've stood for a lot of things, and these are lessons throughout my life. One of them is pick your battles. Don't react and waste all of your time and all of your energy pouncing on every little thing. Don't sweat the little stuff. Pick your battles. Don't play the martyr. Just if you can. Uh, that part of that is don't judge. You don't have to judge. You may be compelled to judge, but that's a call to you in your own self-discipline. How do you hold yourself back from that judgment? You can have a view, but a view does not need to be a judgment. And I've strived to understand monsters and really really challenging stuff that I found really hard to to not judge it. And what I've tried to understand is its wider context. And once I understand its context, then I move into a place of understanding. And a place of understanding is not a self-righteous place of being above other people where I judge them and therefore try to forgive them. I don't need to forgive them. I need to look across and say, I understand your context. I understand what got you to here, what made you you, why we're all different. I understand diversity. I have the guts. I have the integrity. I have the self-ownership of my own reality enough to not be threatened by the diversity. And um, so that's something that anyone who believes that they're going to really, really miss me and the things that I stood for these things. Carry them, relate to them, explore them, dare. Dare to have that depth, dare to have that guts, dare to not judge, dare to look across, dare to understand people's context, dare to be truly diversity friendly, not just your own tribe, your own group, but of the world. If there are things you don't understand and you have never, been known those people personally, you're not in a position of expertise to know who they are, what they are, how they work. Do you know their context? If you don't know their context, then either have the courage to understand them, to try to understand them, or let them be. If they're doing no harm to anyone, if each and every one of them individually is personally doing no harm, let them be, just as you would expect to be let be. And I see so much judgment, so much self-righteousness, so much bigotry, so much that is not diversity friendly, so much that is me, mine. I care about my tribe, my group, but I want to go around and judge everyone else, every other judge, every other group. And, don't be such a hypocrite. What you want for yourself and your own group and the people that you relate to, other people have tried too. And try to understand the parallels. Try to be truly diversity friendly. And that's not just, standing up for your own buds. It's really understanding diversity in the world. And, when you realize that we're not here for a long time, in these physical bodies, that we are organic matter, that we all have a use by date, and some of our use by dates are going to be pretty early. It gives you some perspective. Also, we're not, my little group, my little group, my little group, my little group. We're all animals. We're human beings who are talking animals who create things and get technological and all kinds of things, because we had opposable thumbs and because we had the kind of nutrition that led to a certain kind of brain, and then we passed all information on, and we inherited this what we call human world, but we've separated ourselves from the animal world, and now we separate ourselves from each other. Mine, me. Really? We're humans. That's our culture. We're humans. And if we get so fixated with our own beliefs that all we can see is the beliefs of others, the differences of others, and if we look at that with disdain, well, how much more colorless our own lives are, and how much more closed off and stagnant we are, that we are so overly invested in our own beliefs that we cannot grow, we cannot learn, we cannot experience new things outside of our own little tight circle of investment, of identification. Have some flow, have some flexibility, dare. Yeah. And part of that is don't sweat the little stuff, and live and let live, and simply be, and don't invest in appearances and all the little trimmings, all the little cladding. Look a little deeper. Look a little deeper, not just at yourself, but at your neighbors and at your wider neighbors in this community that is the world. That's what I believe, and that's what got me to be the person that I am and where I stand. And I just think that the other thing that I really stand for is, when things appear to be negative, sometimes they turn out to be the thing that's going to really change something. So much of who I became and all the things that I've done came about because of experiences that were really, that were the darkness. I took the darkness and I found a way to, I guess, utilize it, not cultivate darkness, but transform it into something that was really useful and really bright, and nothing is wasted if you look at things a bit differently. I mean, I was born to an abuser who was very attachment disordered and could not cope with closeness and really enjoyed harm. But out of that came someone who was so grateful for all the light, and so grateful for, so appreciative of a sense of community, and so open to being, I guess, part of nature, that human animal, that citizen of the community, and that citizen of the world. And many things have been those gifts, and they all appeared pretty dark and scary and challenging. But when I look back, they were also usually the things that illuminated so many positives. And yeah, I mean, the writing of Nobody Nowhere came out of such darkness, and the way that that changed so many things for so many people was the result of the exclusion and mistreatment that I received, and I wanted it to be different for other people. And that's examples of take the darkness and don't judge it, don't hate it, don't demonize it, don't box it away, don't blame, the people who come from that space. Look across and say, you're on your own island. I don't have to bring you, over here, but I can understand you. I can understand your context and whatever has happened to me because of my involvement with you or entrapment with you or whatever, I can put to a better use. I don't have to be harmed by it. I don't have to walk through my life like the walking wounded. I can do it like a sculptor. I can take that stuff and I can utilize it, and I can make my life a better life. There are people who say, well, death is not so bad. It's life that's hard. And all that really says is you really, you haven't learned to sculpt. Take that darkness and use it like a sculptor, and transform it into something that makes you experience life as worth living, experience life not as some kind of weight that you have to bear, but something that is really valuable, and that you're really lucky to have, and then walk through your life in a way that leaves you without regrets, and then you have not only a life that you have valued, but a death that you can accept, and not one that you look forward to simply because life was too hard. Do the journey, rise to the challenges, be the sculptor. Those are some of the things that I would say. Care about nature, care about animals. We are part of nature. We all come from star stuff. We're all made of stardust, and we all go back to dust. But there is such a peace and ability to connect with no judgment, no baggage, just being in the company of trees and grass and sky and water and earth. Just being with the elements and being with nature. Be with animals in a way that is respectful and not seeing them as objects, just not being the arrogant monkeys, the arrogant narcissistic monkeys that the human race can sometimes be. Don't treat animals as props. Don't treat animals as objects. They are walking collections of beingness, just like we are. They have music of beingness, and so do we. And so find that connection, and if you can't, and if it's totally outside of your realm, then let them be. It's a big world, and you don't have to go around, feeling that just because something isn't your kind or doesn't have a use or whatever, that it's of no relevance to you. Challenge your own alienation. Challenge your own codependency, challenge your projection of fears, challenge your assumptions of your own martyrdom and all the inabilities and incompetency of everybody else but you. Because sometimes then you will free people up from that control freakdom. You'll free people up so that they can start to see who they might be instead of being caught up in your whirlwind, your fears, your anxieties, your projections, your worries, your over control, your presumptions. Be surprised. Dare to give space. Dare to allow people to be and discover who they are. Not be little replicas of you. None of us are really that awesome. We're cool. We're all different. But we're also all equal. And if you can't see that, then you got some work to do, because you're like Narcissus and you've fallen in love with yourself and you just can't see the beauty of that diversity and the importance of that equality and that non-judgment and that non-presumption. Mindfulness is about getting into your own space and letting all that baggage and crapola go. If you're suffering from it, why on earth do you allow it to pour out and let everyone else suffer from it too, Really, just do the work. If you don't know how to do the work, connect with people who can help you do the work. If you can't find people or can't afford people who can help you do the work, connect with nature, connect with the elements, and you might find some stillness, some space, some peace, some reflection, where you're more than these things. And in there you will find the wisdom that's in you. That wise person that is waiting to come out in you. I mean, people think, oh wow, she's wise, she's this, she's that. I was, really ignorant as pig shit. And I was very utterly impulsive. Really the depth of a puddle. I didn't reflect. I just lived one foot in front of the other, which is really good space to also be and to really know that too. But also don't think that, these people are gurus and these people are really wise and they were always wise. Until I was 9 to 11 years old, I didn't understand language with meaning. I lived in a world that was very sensory and very immediate and all about movement and textures and tone and those kind of things. And it was a different world, but it wasn't a highly reflective world. It wasn't a wordy world. Explore those things. Go to those places. If you've forgotten what it was like to be in that space, I mean, that was my first sort of 10 years of my life. I'm not going to forget it. But if you have forgotten that space, rediscover it. These are your adventures. This is your adventure park. These are the rides you can go on. It's not all about how many selfies you can take and who you've impressed and how many likes and are you going to get famous. That's the appeal world. There are so many adventures that are just really, really simple stuff that you can connect with. Like I was walking back from the train station this morning and somebody was washing some cars and all the spray was in the air and it was swirling around and it was like this, this amazing little water cloud, dancing water cloud. And it's about opening yourself up to the beauty and the magic. And you don't necessarily need drugs to do that, but you might need to declutter. Declutter all the stuff that stops you seeing the world that way, that stops you seeing each other that way, that stops you from seeing everything but humans There's so much more than humans in this world. And even when you see humans, there's so much more than their cladding and their beliefs. We all have a music of beingness. And if you say, oh, all those people, all those people, all those people, you're not actually tuning in on that individual level to that music of beingness that is in all things, whether it's the dandelion, whether it's the cat in the window, whether it's the person, in that corner store that you never talk to. Yeah. So life, be in it, grab it, seize the day.